So I've got a whole lot of work to do and not a whole lot of time to do it. So I guess I better get started. I gotta put that thing back on there, obviously. I gotta delete this. I gotta put that back. But before I can put that back, I gotta go put that back. And then I gotta reinstall all of this. I also got something new to play with, but more on this later. So yeah, let's start with some unmodification, if I can say it like that. I need to remove, not really need to, but I want to remove my PCV delete and catch can. Now there isn't really an important reason for me wanting to remove the catch can and PCV delete. It's just, I just want to make things a bit more simple. This clutters up the engine bay, so I want to remove it. It doesn't really serve much of a purpose. This engine has hardly any blow-by, and right after I installed it, I discovered a bunch of new oil leaks. Because having that negative crankcase pressure really does help keep the oil inside the engine. Well, negative crankcase pressure obviously will have that because you get the vacuum from your intake manifold sucking up that blow-by. That's how the PCV system works. I hope I explained that decently. Anyways, and then obviously once you remove that vacuum and you now have positive pressure within your crankcase or neutral pressure within your crankcase, oil suddenly becomes much more effective at finding ways to escape, which is annoying. And this uninstall will be very simple. I remove that. I remove that part of the pipe. That part of the pipe just turns and connects there. Then I remove this part of the pipe, and then it will connect from here to there to the throttle body. It has a little pipe underneath here, so in the end the pipe running from here to the throttle body will be about that long. And I won't have this thing flopping around anymore. It's not supposed to annoy me, but it really does. It really does annoy me. So yeah, just about the most difficult part of this is going to be drilling out the two rivets that attach the catch can to the... I can never quite remember the thing that holds the radiator, the core support, that thing. Yeah. So now that that thing's out of the way, I'll revisit connecting all of the PCV lines up as soon as I reinstall the throttle body. Now to do the actual important stuff, hooking up the electronics for this engine so it will actually run again. So I picked this up from Dictator the other day after they did some repairs and modifications for me. So I'll run you guys through that real quickly. They tested the box had no damage on it. They tested the ignition module, that was damaged, so they fixed it. We found that this part, this connects to the top ignition coil. This part of the harness actually burnt, so they went and replaced the part of the wire that burnt, and they also went ahead and did this for me. Now if you check, this wire is yellow and green, as is that wire. Now that extra yellow and green wire was not an original feature on that harness. They actually went and incorporated the modification that I did to get my tacho signal, because on the 1UZ, well, at least when you put a 1UZ into one of these Hiluxes, the tacho is meant for a 4-cylinder. The V8 has twice as many cylinders, so if you use the ECU's RPM or tacho output, you will read twice as many RPMs as the engine is actually doing, which would not be very cool. So the fix for that on the twin distributor engines is to just connect your tacho to one of the coils. So I was instructed to do that by one of the Dictator dealers, and it worked like a charm. And I've got to say, I really do appreciate that instead of undoing my modification when they fixed the harness, Dictator went and incorporated it into my harness. I'm quite excited by that. But enough of that, that's all they needed to do to fix the harness. They also needed to fix that, but I did mention that. Now on to the other modifications they did. They did supply me with an extra DEECH plug. I'll install that later in this video or the next video, who knows. But they also installed an extra DEECH plug for me. This just makes it easier to disconnect the engine harness from the chassis harness, because this, which one's the thicker one? This goes to my fuel pump, and this goes to my ignition 12-volt signal. Obviously, if I ever do need to remove this again, I don't want to cut my harness again, so using a DEECH plug just makes it easier to remove and easier to reinstall after the fact. Very cool, very glad they helped me with that. I just feel like I need to disclaim, since they do have a warranty on most of their products, the repairs on the harness were free, but the installation of this DEECH plug was as per my request, and I did pay extra for it. I'm very glad to have paid extra for it. This will come in handy in the future, most likely. In the end, it'll just make me feel a little bit better about the install. But enough of that, let's get cracking. Now, a good place to start, because I've said this before, working on engine loom can be a little bit daunting. Good place to start, just to sort of get gears grinding is to feed your harness, well, the harness that needs to go there, through your firewall in the place where your ECU will be situated. This will just help keep your workspace tidy and give you an idea of where everything generally needs to sit. Now with all of that tucked away, I can focus on connecting all of this to all of that. And for those of you doing this for the first time, this is basically the instructions you've got to work with. You'll find all the info you need on this page, and if you don't have the page, I believe you can find the document for this page on Dictator's website. But basically what this does is tell you where each one of these wires needs to go, because all of the wires in your harness are color coded, and this basically just explains how the color coding works. For example, this yellow and green wire I was talking about, that, if you can find it here, yellow and green, is ignition output. But to quickly run you guys through the wiring, here is your ground. This grounds to the engine. Do not ground this to the chassis. Here is your little plug that goes onto your crank sensor. Here is what I'll just call the right bank harness. Here it goes onto your ignition coil, injector, 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 injector. And then you've got injector, 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 injector. Same there. Here's your cold start sensor, I believe. Here it goes to your TPS. Here it goes to my top coil. And here, this will go into my tacho signal. And then last but not least, you've got your negative and positive for the battery. Do not connect this up to the body, connect this to the battery. Okay, I should have taken my own advice and not connected up anything before I had all the wires laying, because I started connecting the wires for the injectors, and I got 1 injector, 2 injector, 3 injector, 4, no plug. And here it is. So I accidentally skipped this injector plug, and now I've got to remove these two before I can move along. It's not really a pain, but it's just not fun. So I've got the routing for all the wiring more or less finalized. Now I just need to hit it with a lot of conduit to make sure that all of these wires are as protected as they can be, and that the install is at least somewhat clean. Clean? So that it doesn't look like absolute crap. So that is the last of the work under the bonnet concluded. Now I just need to sort out everything inside the cab, get the ECU, ignition module mounted, wire up a few wires, do a little bit of soldering just to reattach the engine harness to the body harness, make everything work again, and this thing should start. Obviously the RTV needs to cure, but that's nothing. Don't think I can do that right now though. The lighting is, as you can see, really bad. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, working in the dark is nothing but a recipe for disaster. It is tomorrow, and you join me on this crisp morning to see if I can get this thing to start. It has to start. And the only thing left to do is solder up 4 wires. And then I need to clean all of this up, clean all of that up, and then reassemble all of that. But the goal for today is to get it to start. I'll do all of the other finicky things on another day, because I suddenly realized that I have a test due tonight. So I got to get this thing started and then get to studying. So let me go look for the tools I need, and then I can get started. Gonna need these, gonna need this, gonna need this, and this. The rest of the stuff I will go and retrieve as I realize that I need it. Okay, I need to attach this to this. Then I need to find this, attach this to this. Then I need to take this attach this to this. Then I need to, where is it? Take this, put, where is it? Put this on this. Put another part of this on this, and then attach that to this. So all in all, very easy, very simple, should go fairly quickly. Unless the soldering iron is still broken, in which case it would not be fairly easy. It's not broken. Now I just got to take this thing and strip all the wires to start with. Strip the wires, connect the wires, make the connections, get everything. I don't know how to explain how my head is working right now because I'm being hasty because I need to start studying, but I want to get this thing running because if I don't get this thing running, I won't be able to study because I won't be able to focus because I'll be focusing on this thing and it'll be a whole kabobble. So, I must do work. Now, ideally after making a connection like a connection like this, before you solder it up, you first want to You first want to test and check if you made the correct connection. But I won't be doing that because I did the continuity tests last night before I went to bed. Didn't record it for some reason, but anyways, I did the tests and I'm 99.9% certain that I won't make a mistake on this. So I'm just gonna head right into it. Hello. Hi. Hey, bud. Huh? 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 Fucking bitch. You see, I always find a way. I always find... So, you know what I just told you guys, right? You know what I just told you guys. You see this? You see this? This wire goes to there, right? Right? Now, it's connected to that wire. And I soldered it. See? Ne? But this wire is supposed to be connected to... Where is it? This wire. And this wire, see the one that's soldered to that one? Yeah? It's supposed to be connected to this wire. Man, I'm a clown. Okay, these two are just launch controls, so I'll leave those for a later day. ECU's plugged in, relay is in, the vacuum hose is in, these are connected, those are soldered up, the ignition module is plugged in. Let's just double check the vacuum hose over here. Vacuum is plugged in, the earth is tightened, that's plugged in, that's plugged in, that's plugged in, that's plugged in, that's plugged in. What else? That's plugged in. I checked that last night. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Good enough to start at least. Just pop that back on there. These are... That's not tight. I'd say that's tight now. Oh yeah. I need to pop that back on. And probably need to connect the throttle cable. Yeah. Now is the moment of truth. This thing, it will start. It will start. I know I've said it before, but... Goes the fuel pump. Neutral. guys yet. I'll get into that now. Before the coil popped, I noticed a loss of power, and the coil popped the day after I had it on the dyno at FTX. So now I'm wondering, did that power loss occur before I put it on the dyno? And now that she's running honky-dory again, I think, because there's another dyno Friday at FTF coming up, I think I've got to take her back and just double check, because maybe now she'll put down all the power she's supposed to. So yeah, I think I'll go back to the dyno now. But let me get into what actually happened from what I have been able to surmise. So first, the top coil died. That's before it popped. It died and then it blew up. My guess as to why it died, it might be old age, because it was an import engine from Japan. It's old. It did a lot of miles before it was in the Hilux, and it sat in a scrapyard or in a dock for quite some time. The coil actually had sun damage on the plastic, so yeah, it's old. Or it could be because it got wet because I blew a radiator pipe 2 days before it popped. Anyway, the coil died. That led to more resistance. That caused the parts of the harness leading up to the coil to burn. When the harness burned, it shorted out. When it shorted out, it hit the ignition module, and then it heated up the ignition coil, and then the ignition coil exploded, causing all the drama that you guys have seen thus far. But now everything's fixed again, so I can get back to my normal shenanigans. Well, actually I can get back to studying, then I can come back later in the week, put it back together, tidy up all of this shit. I already know my dad's going to phone me as soon as I'm back in Potchefstroom to cuss at me for leaving the work area in such a mess. But Dad, if you're seeing this, well, you'll only see this after you've cussed me out. Dad, if you're seeing this, I'm sorry, and I promise I will come and clean up. Okay, see you later.